boy. Look at that. Got another video for you guys today, but today first, we gotta get that coffee going. Good morning. So, it's the weekend, and this guy still has a lot of stuff to be done to it before the King of the Hammers. Oh, the King of the Hammers is in like 3 weeks, and I'm just trying to get a bunch of stuff done so it's at least capable and ready, so that when I go out there, I can bang on it and have a good time. I know I'm gonna be meeting up with the Bronco Nation and Chase Gentry as well, so we're gonna go out there and have a good time, and he and I both probably like to send it, so I just needed to get this thing kind of ready, and there's a few things that I wanted to do, camp loadout wise, and then just off-road loadout wise. So that brings us to today. So we're gonna throw, you know, last week, if you guys watched the series, that we've already done the 2-inch zone strut lift. And so we're gonna do that. And then this week, we're gonna do the BroncBuster's 1.5-inch body lift. And I figure for form and function and running my 37s, I think that that's gonna be enough to get the clearance we need until the actual suspension system gets here. Which, you know, again, I ordered it in November, so it could be anytime between now and, hell, I don't know, June, to be honest. I know King's way backed up. So, anyway, let's get rocking. So, yeah, so that's the list so far. A lot to get done in 3 weeks. You can see King of the Hammers list. There's still so much more. Anyway, over there is what we're looking at. And I said we go over there and take a look. What do you think? Okay. Here it is. Pretty simple. Impact. Everything's gonna be 1/2 inch. It requires an 18, a 15, and then of course the torque wrench. At the end, all your bolts will be torqued to 70 foot-pounds. Remember that, guys, 70 foot-pounds. It's not a whole lot. And then I've got an extension, and then here's the kit. Now what I did go ahead and in front measure the front and rear just so I would know. The front right now is at 39.5, and the rear is at 41. But it's a super simple deal, and it really doesn't take much mechanical knowledge. There's 8 factory body bolts along each side. One starts in the front where the radiators are, just below the radiator support, close to the outside of the wheel wells. And then you have the other 3 kind of periodically spread out all the way to the back of the vehicle. And I'll show it to you because what I did to make it easier, that way right when you walk up to your vehicle and look at it, you'll know where to go. But super simple kit. You do need to know this, and it's marked. It says front body bolts. The front body bolts are absolutely 100% different than the back body bolts. And it has to do with the pitch, the type of pitch. So make sure you don't mix these up. I wouldn't even cut the fronts open until you've got the first side ready to go, and then you run the back 3 bolts, and then once you've done that, cut this open, take the front bolt and put it in, and then kind of secure them. It's super simple. They send blue Loctite with it, and it's just a puck. Nothing one way or the other about them. They all look the same. So basically, once you raise the vehicle, there'll be a gap between your body base and where the factory body mount is. You slide this in, line the corresponding bolt and washer right through it with a little Loctite on it, kind of run them in snug, and then once you've done that, you're pretty much done with that side. So once you do one side, let's just back up. What you'll do is you'll set everything up to do one side at a time, but the opposite side will need to be a little loose, not a lot loose, just a little loose, because obviously we're gonna pick and lift the body off the frame a little bit, so you'll want a little bit of play. You don't want them snug on the opposite side. So that's what I'm saying. So when you loosen those other sides, you just loosen them a little bit because you don't jack them up much. That way when you take all these body bolts out and have it lifted, you can slide these all in, run the new BroncBuster bolts in, run them in, kind of get them, you know, not snug, but just a little bit before snug, you know, somewhat still loose. That way when you go to the other side and you pull those out, you have the ability to lift that side now with the jack and separate the body mounts. It's pretty easy. We'll go over it real quick. But like I said, 15, 18, stuff in 1/2 inch. This is a 16, but I'm just got a wobbler on it and then a 1/2 inch drive, 1/2 inch impact and extension, torque wrench. Very quick deal, guys. So let's rock and roll. Okay, I think this makes more sense for you guys now that you see it. So, from back to front, where these red marks are, I put this tape on here so it would illustrate where the bolts are. And like we talked about before, there's only 4. And so what we'll do to start is you'll locate where they are, take your drive and your socket, and you're gonna remove them on one side. And you're gonna remove them first starting with your ratchet. So you're gonna get your ratchet under there and you're gonna break them loose and run 3 or 4 threads down before you put your impact on them. The reason being is this is a press nut like we've talked about before, and it's just sandwiched between the body and skin material. So if something was wrong and they were bound a little bit, or maybe the factory thread locker was too strong and you went at it too aggressively to start, there's a potential to spin that, and then I don't even know how you get it out. It would be a pain in the butt. So remember, we're gonna start them with our ratchet. Get them run down, and then we're gonna go ahead and pull them, okay? Pull all your bolts. Then you're gonna go to the opposite side and you're just gonna loosen them. You're gonna do the process with the nut or with the ratchet. You're just gonna break them loose, every one of them, all 4. And when I mean break them loose, I mean break them loose where they're hard and then maybe run, 2 to 3 threads out or something, just to give us play. And the reason why is you don't want it solid when you're trying to lift this side of the body to slide the pucks under. So once you've done the opposite side and loosened them, then you come back over here, jack this side up, take your 4 pucks, put them in place. Remembering that front bolt is different, so make sure you don't get that messed up. Because if you cross thread the wrong bolt into that thing, you got problems. Other than that, it's super simple. So I think we're just gonna rock through it. I may time lapse it just so you can see, but it's gonna be a pretty quick deal. This is the kind of things that I want to show you guys, that you can do things in your driveway too, and not everything has to be a huge expense as far as componentry to give a little look to your truck. If you were just gonna simply do this just to add a little bit larger tire, you could. So, let's roll. Quick note, the only 18 inch or 18 millimeter is gonna be the fronts. So, only 18ers up front, the other 3 bodies coming back across on both sides are gonna be the 15. Pretty easy. So here are the standard bolts from behind the front tire all the way coming back. They're all the same. They're the 15s. But you'll notice the 18 is the front. And if you look, there's factory thread locker on it. And I'll tell you this. I would do the front bolts, removal of the front bolts, by hand the whole way. You can feel the binding because of the thread locker, and you would be in a bad situation, guys, if you spin that body bolt in that captured nut. So what I would suggest is get an extension for your 1/2 inch ratchet, and I would just walk this bolt out the whole way. I really would. That will ensure you won't mess your truck up, and then B, it comes out. I will tell you this, when it comes out, you can feel this bolt, how hot it is. That's due to friction. So keep that in mind, and mind what I'm saying. Just take the front bolts out completely by hand. Anyway, let's roll. Okay. Now, so remember that I'm setting this up. We've removed the 4 on this side, and we've loosened the ones on the other side. So now at the point where we're gonna go ahead and get it all set up and ready to lift. So what I'll do is I'm gonna show you where I'm gonna do it, right on this body mount for the actual rock slide is where I'm gonna lift from. And then I'll show you once I get it in place, the lifting process and that kind of stuff, so you'll have a better understanding of what we're doing with it. Okay guys, I think now you can see where I was actually talking about right here where my finger is. Now you can see there's a small gap, and that's all we need. All you need is that small gap, and then what we'll do is we'll take our new puck, put it in there, and lightly put in a bolt for the front, and then we'll just move back down to the rest of them. Okay, so I'll show you kind of what I'm doing. I'm just getting a little space in there, moving that right up there, and that's it, guys. Then it's time for the bolt, and then you may have what happened to me happen. The factory body bolt just fell out. All you do is slide it back through the bottom and put it back in. Nothing major. So, and then I'll go with this Loctite with you. The Loctite, easiest way to see it is about like this, and then I just put a couple drops on it. That's all you need. So you can see, and that'll chase as I roll it in there, it'll chase the threads all the way up. And then we'll repeat this process for every one of the ones we put in. So remember what I said about you want to make sure that you do this part by hand, okay? So we're just gonna go up through the bottom, make sure we line everything up with the new one as well. And then I'm just gonna try to get it to start just with my hands, because I don't, you don't need to have a billion threads in it done, but you just want to get it all started by hand. That way nothing's cross-threaded and you don't do it with an impact, because again, I'll stress it one more time, if we were to do that, that would be a bad deal. That'll give you kind of an understanding of how much I had to jack it up. So it's jacked up quite a bit, and I did have to add a second block, and those are 4x6s. So that's 8 inches that I had to add to my jack to get enough clearance to be able to add this. Okay, so remember that. It's a decent amount. So if you don't have a tall enough jack, you may have to get a couple extra pieces of wood to create the difference between the frame and the body, so you can put the puck in. Okay guys, got everything put up, and I had to clean up real quick. I was in the mountains and I thought I got everything off the bottom of it, but when you hit it with an impact to run them out, man, gosh, stuff fell all over my face. Anyway, mark the time. It took 1 hour and 1 minute. That's to take everything out, put all the new stuff in, torque everything, and then just make sure everything was in a good alignment. I will show you this real quick. When you are finished, this is all you should have left. Obviously, you can tell the stark difference between the rear bolts and the front bolts and how much Loctite was on them. No Loctite on the backs, just the front. So when you're finished, you'll have the 2 fronts and then the 3 that go along the body side. Anyway, let's take a look. Okay, so what do you think? I don't notice a whole lot of difference. Do you visually? I mean, maybe in the front, but you know what we do around here. We don't guesstimate it, we don't guess. Let's get the measuring tape out and see what it looks like, right? So, before we did it, guys, ladies, it said the rear was 41 even. So let's see where we're at now. Now again, remember, this is not a suspension lift. This is just to give us clearance in the wheel wells for the larger tires. So we were at 41. We were exactly at 42 and a half. Now here we were at 39 and a half. We are at exactly 41. So you can tell that is spot on. They measured their stuff out perfectly. They sell you the product that they tell you they're selling you. The bolts, the washers, they send you a blue Loctite. All of it was machined really well by them here in Texas. The pucks are in good shape too. There's no molding marks, anything like that. They're all done really well. And you can see now that we have a little bit more clearance. And so now with the 2-inch spacer, 2-inch strut spacer lift, plus the 1.5 inch body lift, that should last long enough for us to wheel in King of the Hammers, Expo West, doing South Padre Island pins in March, I believe. So that should get us onto the trails and able to just beat up some stuff with the 37s without tearing up anything underneath the wheel wells. But I would say that I am a super happy guy. As far as your shade tree mechanic scale goes, I would say this is probably a 3. And the only reason it's a 3 is because, you know, you need to make sure that you have the right deep well sockets, a 1/2-inch impact, and you have to have a torque wrench that does at least foot-pounds. Other than that, it's a process. You have to have a pretty big jack or blocks to be able to get the gap you need to put the spacer pucks in. Anyway, that's it. I'll show you guys that real quick. I've been working on this. That's an easy rack system from Slide Engineering. It just comes with these base plates, and I built all this upper stuff that goes on it. It's got my max tracks, my shovel, my chase lights, my reverse lights, that additionally for the Bronco. And this actually goes anywhere from a 33 to a 40-inch tire. But I'll actually, now that I'm done mocking it up and finish the build and it's all painted and dry, I'll take that and put it on here when we get the 37s. But anyway, as always, give me a huge hug. Hug me, give me a like. And the reason why is not because you like me or like my content specifically, it's because you like Bronco content. And if you give me a like, generated that it's Bronco content that's on this channel, they're gonna flood your stuff with Bronco stuff. We have to beat the algorithms of YouTube and let them know that we're trying to get to a Bronco world and Bronco nation, kind of like the Toyota and Jeep world is. And until we start liking these videos and appreciate the content, they're not going to put a whole lot in front of us all the time. So do me a favor, give me a hug, hit that like button, smash the subscribe button, and hey man, thanks for hanging out, and you guys be easy. See you next time.